By February 8, 2017, President Trump had less nominees in his cabinet confirmed than any other president in U.S. history except for George Washington. Obviously, it's pretty easy to say that Trump's cabinet and his members have not been doing very well. In fact, according to the Washington Post, most of their political positions vary greatly and widely from the political position they're supposed to assume for their official posts. Three of Trump's most important cabinet members, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and Secretary of Treasury Steve Mnuchin, have all come under controversy for their decisions and widely publicized disagreements with the president. When regarding the question, is Trump's cabinet prepared and how is it doing? The answer is obviously no, because of the great mistakes and the controversial appointments, as well as the actions of Secretary of State Tillerson, Attorney General Jeff Sessions, and Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin. To begin with, Secretary of State Rex Tillerson's tenure as the Secretary of State did not start out very well. He was appointed with a 56-43 vote, and that was most votes against Secretary of State in U.S. history. Then, there were a lot of high-profile disagreements between Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and President Trump. For example, just 2 weeks ago, the Secretary of State said that the U.S. had modes of communication with North Korea. Yet, just a few hours later, Trump came out on his Twitter and said that our Secretary of State Rex should stop wasting his time because North Korea would not negotiate. The impact of this is that there have been lots of disagreements between Secretary of State Rex Tillerson and President Trump. And when there are so many high-profile disagreements, and when the two seemingly cannot get along on issues such as policy, it is obvious that Secretary of State Rex Tillerson may not remain in his office for long. Moreover, in July, President Trump gave a speech to the Boy Scouts of America, an organization that Rex Tillerson is known to be very passionate about, and in fact was once the president of. During his speech, Trump used it as an opportunity to lambast his opponents and boast of his political achievements, regardless of the fact that he was talking to a group of teenagers who probably didn't want to hear Trump talk about his great achievements as president. After this, it was reported, according to numerous sources, that Rex Tillerson was extremely incensed and, in fact, even considered resigning. When Rex Tillerson returned to the White House, only talking with Vice President Mike Pence and Secretary of Defense James Mattis convinced him to stay on, because they told him that such a high-profile resignation of his, especially since he's the fourth in line to the presidency, such a high-profile resignation would surely doom the administration. Moreover, Secretary Jeff Sessions has also caused a lot of controversy. The first thing that happened was that he came under investigation before the election for his meetings with the Russian ambassador to the United States. Given that there have been a lot of issues revolving around Russian supposed involvement in the election, Sessions' meetings with the ambassador was surely to cause a lot of trouble and put him in the limelight. In an administration that has suffered a lot of resignations and been in a lot of controversy regarding its relations with the Russians, having it known that your Attorney General, who's supposed to be the head of law enforcement in the United States, had met with the Russian ambassador was not very good. Moreover, during his appointments and confirmation hearing before the Senate, there were a lot of high-profile disagreements between the Republicans and Democrats, especially when Mitch McConnell interrupted Elizabeth Warren, who was reading a letter criticizing Jeff Sessions. It is obvious that given there were so many disagreements during his confirmation hearing that it would be near impossible for him to get anything done, since the Democrats will always oppose most of his things and everything that he proposes. Finally, I will talk about Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin. During his election campaign, President Trump criticized Goldman Sachs and said that they were stealing and robbing money from the working class. And the working class were the majority of people who voted for Trump. This was highly controversial, especially after Mnuchin's appointment, since, since our Secretary of Treasury had worked for Goldman Sachs and was in fact the vice president. Moreover, it was reported that Secretary of State used a government plane to travel with his wife to go see the solar eclipse on August 21st. This was extremely controversial because this was using the taxpayers' money for his own personal expenses and for his own personal pleasure. And there were rumors that he was going to resign after the Secretary of Health, Tom Price, had to resign following his use of a government plane for personal and private reasons. Ultimately, it is obvious that Trump's cabinet is not going to do very well, given that there have been so many high-profile disagreements and controversies. Rex Tillerson has, has been put in the limelight for his high-profile disagreements on policy issues with Trump on issues such as North Korea, Iran, and the Muslim ban. Jeff Sessions was appointed under heavy controversy and big disagreements between Republicans and Democrats. And Secretary of Treasury Mnuchin has come under controversy for his supposed disagreements with Trump on his policy, and the fact that his only significance so far, his tax plan, has not gone very well. Ultimately, the main takeaway is that in the cabinet where most members have little to no political experience, it cannot survive and it cannot expect to do well. Thank you.